should be going live right now, Tor.
All right, thank you.
Given give 10 or 20 seconds for the live stream lag. So Phyllis, I imagine that this location probably doesn't exist anymore.
You're correct. It's underwater.
Wow.
They moved everything up to on top of the hills more. And as you can see, there's even across the river, there's a lot of lowland there that also is all covered. So they had to start building on the sides of the mountains.
And I presume all those buildings would be underwater as well. They
Yes.
wouldn't have
Yeah.
relocated those or moved those or anything like that.
That's correct.
Incredible.
It's like vertical misalignment on this one. Yeah, the upper right-hand corner, I think. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Well, let me try an auto align. See if that changes anything.
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I think it's just me.
Yeah, I ran an auto align and there was 0 pixel movement vertically or horizontally.
I think it's just the diagonals.
And it is kind of
There's a bit of
light
a
area up there as well.
black border around some of the edges, but you won't see that on a black background.
Say that again, Melinda. You recommend adding a
No,
oh,
no,
there is a black border.
there's some black on some of the edges. It looks like all of the edges except edge. But if you're looking at it on a black background, you won't see that.
Yeah,
So
that's the issue.
It's probably just an artifact of previous alignment. Not a big deal.
Well, it's a lovely photo and a beautiful scan as well.
I really like the wet sidewalk.
It was raining.
Yeah, nice reflections, even in that dirty water. Well, thanks, Phyllis. Thanks for being first up.
Yeah.
Our next photo is by Oleg, and the title is Decorated Fence at a Sonoma Farm.
Yes, I tried to. I like this composition because of the middle ground. There's a lot to look at it.
It's interesting how the fence sort of separates it into two different volumes.
It's fun to look at it on the 3D, like 3D television, because there's so much to see.
Yeah, there's a lot of geometry here too. Cylinders and circles and pyramids.
Like the shadow of the wheel in the grass.
Very nice, Oleg. Great depth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Ed, I've got you up next. This is aspirin crystal Tell us how you made this, and tell us what scale we're looking at here.
Yeah, so this is under a stereo microscope, and it's 10 times magnification, and the light is polarized. So you have to. I just use this polarizing film that you buy off of Amazon or whatever, and you put one under the sample and then one above the sample, and you just rotate it until you get the polarized effect.
Mm.
The aspirin, you just ground up a pill and sprinkle some powder and put a drop of alcohol. When the alcohol evaporates, it forms the crystals.
Wow.
The background, the ones in the background is actually debris on the other side of the glass dish.
Actually, I like that background a lot. It's a very nice kind of bokeh effect.
Now, what effect do the polarized sheets add to this? Are they
all the color.
the color?
All of the color. It's just black and black, just strictly black and white. And this is not really that colorful. Sometimes I get sometimes with the crystals and the polarized light, sometimes the color is different in your left and right eye.
Hmm.
That was what I was going for. So it's like the colors are almost like floating. Just the color themselves is a very pretty effect, but you have to get just the right just the right sample. It's just luck.
Well, you were very lucky with this one. Yeah, there's a slight like retinal rivalry effect with the colors. It gives it a really energetic appearance.
Find it interesting that the left image has blurriness or out of focus on its right-hand side, which is resolved with stereopsis, when the right-hand image, which is perfectly in focus on the right-hand side. So amazing.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
I have no explanation for that at all.
It's our firmware in our heads.
Yeah. We're given just enough to go on to put it together.
It might have something to do with position, or it might even be the microscope is an old used microscope that might not even be aligned exactly with, it works okay.
It is amazing how the mind compensates for these defects in a stereo photo. The same is true with color. If there's a color mismatch between the two views, our mind somehow makes it work.
Yeah, I'm noticing that in the right eye, it's the left-hand side, the background, that is cast more out of focus than the left. So yeah, it's just a very limited depth of field from left to right. And in stereo, we're able to synthesize it and make it all look sharp with our heads.
I imagine that's a challenge for any micro photography. And Ed, I wanted to say your alignment on your submissions for tonight was absolutely perfect. Did you use Stereo Photo Maker?
Yeah, yes, I did. That was very helpful.
Fantastic.
So I appreciate everybody kind of steering me toward it.
Great little program.
Is there anything else worth using?
Other than Stereo Photo Maker?
Correct. Anything else?
What do you guys think?
Nothing I've heard of. One of the Facebook pages, somebody posted an interview with the guy who created it. I haven't gotten to dig into it yet.
Yeah, I'd be curious. He's really kind of It's such a wonderful tool that almost literally all of us use it.
Yeah, I've used it for years. I'm unaware of a commercial equivalent. Yeah, thank God for Stereo Photo Maker. And yeah, I forget the name of the creator, but he is prolific. It gets updated. No, I don't know,
That's
once or twice a year.
Masuji Suto.
Oh, thank you, Bob, and welcome.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Ed. Bob, you made it just in time because we have a photo by you to enjoy. It'll be coming up shortly. The title is Beatrice.
One of my favorite kitties.
That is one photogenic cat.
Oh. If I were a cat, I would propose to her. But she's
I'm
no
already
longer.
in love.
I spotted her on the way to the post office on one of my walks. She was just sitting up on this fence and just stunning. She has since passed on.
Oh,
But I'm planning to make a blow up of her that can sit on the fence if the owners are amenable to it.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Is this her regular spot?
I don't know. I just spotted her this one time on the fence, and it was perfect. So
How did you light it?
I didn't light it at all. That's just an iPhone shot. I did go into Photoshop, and I think I brightened her eyes just a little bit to punch them up.
how about the sky? It's,
Yeah, I was wondering if people would notice. I have this same shot with the actual sky. There's a tree background, but I thought it needed to have more focus on Beatrice, so I exchanged for this sky.
Oh, I was trying to figure out how it was lit with the sun setting or rising in the background. So
Yeah, no, Phil Flash. Yeah, that's it. No, good spot.
yeah, I like the
Good
sky a lot too. It's I mean, it's very unnatural, but it's kind of magical.
Yeah, it focused on her, and I thought the colors in the sky were all right. And I do realize the lighting is a little bit of a puzzle, but
just say you used a big
the
white
upper
reflector.
yeah, could have used a reflector.
the upper right corner is the colors are a bit different in each image.
Yeah,
It's
no,
kind of
I haven't really refined it.
It's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty minor. But it's but I like it very much. Now you got the whole fence through the window. And
did I submit the wrong one here? Because I know I positioned it perfectly.
it's not that it's bad, but it does conflict on the lower left image.
Yeah,
I mean, you could.
This was the previous one. I have one where the fence is right at the window, and I think I smoothed out the sky as well. But you can imagine.
Okay. Yeah. Pulling the fence back, I think, would be a good idea. Yeah, gorgeous.
She is in front of the window on my Lume Pad. I want to pet her, but my
you're welcome to bring it into Stereo Photo Maker, Matt, and correct it if you'd like.
Well, I appreciate the offer. I'm going to pass right now because I'm not sure what I would break in doing that.
Okay.
But thank you, Bob.
Sure.
And if you want to submit the other version for a later slideshow, we'd be happy to see that too. All right. Thank you, Bob.
Sure.
Melinda, we have one by you coming up next. Palantir, I think is how it's pronounced. That's the title, and that's what this is a photo of. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, your guess is as good as mine, but I'll give you a little context. I met a friend at Fort Point for a Juneteenth exhibition um, around Black history, and I'm not certain if this thing was part of that exhibit. Um, there was there was a bit more on show there than that, and it's but it had a bunch of strange items like this sort of arrayed near this window. Um, they seemed like some kind of personal possessions, but it had no relation that I could see to the subject matter. So it is what it is. It's this sort of 5-6 inch diameter crystal ball. It was placed just in front of this old window, and and we were both kind of taken by the nice sort of upside down flipping going on in the inside, and so I didn't. So I just grabbed a quick snap with my hydrogen one, and didn't do a lot to it. This is very much what I got out of the camera. Added a border. That's about it.
What's the name of the bridge in the background?
Oh, that's the Golden Gate Bridge. So this is Fort Point, which is right below the southern span. So it's this whole amazing brick fort. I recommend going there. It's all kinds of stereo opportunity there with all the bridge work and brickwork.
Yeah, as you've shown us again and again, Melinda, this is so unique.
Well, I haven't been to Fort Point in at least a decade or more, and so I didn't remember any of the interior of it. So I was kind of rediscovering a lot of this. You can get up on the roof, and that I remember. And of course, the bridge is completely out of focus, but that's actually kind of nice. It's in focus inside the sphere.
It's very interesting. It's nice we can see the water that's blocked by the crystal ball itself, reflected in itself.
Yeah, and you can see, I guess I don't think it's beach. It's some kind of, I think it's the concrete walkway or something below. That's completely out of the frame.
See those breakers.
Yeah.
And it's got good depth too. A great subject for your hydrogen one.
Yeah, perfect subject.
So this sphere, this ball must not be too big. Be like 8-10 inches in diameters, maybe something like that.
Oh, 5 or 6 at most.
5 or 6
Yeah.
inches.
And it's
One thing I've noticed using a hydrogen one is the depth of field is surprisingly shallow for close subjects. I was surprised by that with a small sensor and a small lens opening.
well, it might also depend on the brightness too, since the aperture is automatic.
And the aperture is fixed.
Oh, it is. I had no idea.
Yeah, all those small cell phones, very few have variable apertures, and if they do, it's basically a water stop or a Waterford stop.
I don't know what that is.
A disc with a hole in it.
As opposed to an iris.
Correct.
Oh, you mean so like a pinhole camera? Huh. Interesting. Yeah, it's pretty limited, but it is certainly convenient. But really only for very close-up stuff.
It does work well, I must admit.
It's an interesting observation because, Melinda, I'm thinking back uh, to your, many other compositions from your hydrogen one, and I can't think of any that have a shallow depth of field like this. Maybe it's a feature of the camera.
It's
That's a
just
good question.
a much farther distance between the foreground and background subjects than most of Melinda's shots. I mean, we're talking, what, about a mile difference here, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there's some mystery to this photo. Well, thank you, Melinda. Yeah, this one's very intriguing.
Thanks.
Before I proceed, Phyllis has a question in the chat. Who's coming to 3DCon? Go ahead and answer her in the chat if you'd like. We can talk about it after the slideshow also. I'm not going to be able to make it. It's my busy time of year at work, so you'll have to tell me all about it. And that said, the next photo in tonight's slideshow is by me. The title is San Francisco, which is the name of this screen printing company. And I took this at a street fair. This would be the Union Street Festival, I think. And I thought it was nice. I liked the through the window effect that I was able to get out of it. The light was kind of challenging. I did push this quite a bit in Photoshop. And that screen printer, he's not posing for me. This was just sort of a walk by. And that's all I'll say about it.
Fun subject. Is that sunlight shining through the screen in the foreground?
It is, yes. I think that's what attracted me to this. The luminous quality of those screen prints and those frames, while the rest of the operation is shaded under that canopy.
I like it.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, very dramatic. Good through the window opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's what attracts me to this one. I wish the light were a little more even. It was a very bright day, like high noon. And you can see that there's a sort of a splash of light on the white surface of the table. Kind of tells you how bright a day it really was.
I like how much care you put into the borders. It's very comfortable all around.
Oh. Yeah, thank you. I wonder if this one would be improved with a border, like a frame border.
Like a false frame, or
just a regular border at the window.
oh, let me try.
Emphasize the through the window effect. I'll play with that.
What camera did you use?
For these, I used my twin Sony RX02s, these little action cameras. They're very small.
Very sharp.
Yeah, they're good cameras. They have a big sensor for a small package, and they have great synchronization using Sony's proprietary multi-terminal link, I think it's called. The cameras have some limitations too. They don't support flash. They can be a little fussy sometimes. But because of the size, I can get them very close together for more of a natural vision stereo effect.
They have a variable aperture.
They do not. Fixed aperture. The optics on these cameras are fair, I would say. I have a review of them on our website that I'll put in the chat. As I said, they're not the best cameras, but they are pretty good for stereo photography. Oh, and here's the link. In this article, there's a saga about how I destroyed one of them and eventually did replace it. I won't give away what happened, but if that entices you to read this review, I encourage you to check it out. The link to the Sony RX02 tiny tough camera for stereo photographers is in the chat right now. All right, thank you. Let's move on to another one by Phyllis. And Phyllis, what's coming up here is China ducklings.
Yeah. They they had a net over the ducklings to keep them in, but this was in the marketplace. So I just thought it was interesting to see that one little black head sticking up there.
It's great. Do we want to know what these were being raised for?
No.
No.
I don't want to know.
Yes. Oh, okay.
They were just so cute.
That's a great subject.
But I thought it was cute anyway.
It's not a composition you're likely to find here.
No, fortunately.
Now I'm curious, did you remove the net? Did you ask the vendor if you could take this photo, or is this an
They had
opportunity
just
that you
removed
saw?
it, and I just stepped up and took the picture.
Good job.
Yeah.
There was a huge language barrier, and they'd never seen a white woman before. So I was a curiosity to them. These are really remote villages. They hadn't had visitors. It is definitely not a tourist area.
Well,
Now
good.
that's changed, but at that time, it was like being back 100 years.
That's interesting because some of the shots that you've shown from this collection are, kind of intimate shots of people, kind of portraiture. I can imagine that language barrier must have been a challenge in making those photos.
Well, actually, I just kind of smiled and held up the camera, and they would either nod or shake their head. So we didn't have to speak. We just used body language to get across the idea.
So I was just,
One thing I would try is to, although it works very well with the basket in, is to crop out just, so you just have ducklings with that black one, not exactly in the center, but off in a pleasing area. I think that would improve the impact considerably if the basket was removed.
That's a good idea, but I kind of wanted to show the ancient basket held together by wire, and the basket itself was pretty interesting to me. But I think you're right. It would be a stronger image cropped in with the little black duckling at a third or something.
It might make a little better use of the stereo depth, but this one is kind of also a social statement as well, or at least that's how I take it.
it's anthropological.
Yeah, yeah. So I like it very much for that, and there's still enough depth to work well in stereo.
And they were wiggling like crazy. I'm amazed it's as sharp as it is. I didn't do anything to it. I probably could make it sharper. I didn't run it through Photoshop to sharpen it at that point.
Oh, it's sharp enough.
They're on film, so I haven't really done anything to them since I scanned them. So
If you want to do any sharpening, I recommend Topaz Photo
Yep.
AI. It's really good.
I have that. Thank you. Good suggestion.
Well, and as we discussed, the stereo effect sort of lends an additional sharpness or definition. Yeah, I'd say this is
This would have been with the S1.
yeah, it's plenty sharp for me. And remind me again, is that a 35 millimeter camera or is that a medium format camera?
But you only get 13 pairs out of it. So there's a space in between.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they full frame
Yeah.
views?
Is it full frame?
Does
Which
anybody
one?
know?
Oh, what camera is it?
The S1?
Yeah. I think it is.
RBT S1.
I'm curious about the duckling just below the black duck.
Mm-hmm.
His eyes look very strange in terms of being off center. And I'm wondering, at first I thought it was a mouse.
I think it just has a spot on top of its head.
Well, it is. It's a
Yeah.
spot on his head. And I looked at that too and thought, well, that's a weird looking duck, but it's actually a spot on his head. It probably got pecked. But it does look like a mouse. I had the same reaction. I had to look 3 times to figure it out.
Oh, I see it now. That's funny.
It's they were very close to Chernobyl, I think.
Yeah. Well, fascinating photo. Thank you, Phyllis. All right. Oleg. We have a photo by you coming up next. Bicyclist enters Novato Bike Park is the title.
Yeah, I like the fact that the bicyclist has the same pose as the one in the back there.
Are you referring to the bicyclist on the sign?
Yes, on the sign.
Oh, sure.
I didn't notice that.
You have a very nice through the window effect happening with the front what's the word I'm looking for? The bike rack. The first rung is a bit in front of the window for me, but I think it works very well.
Yeah, I usually cut off the corners so you don't get a. Anyway, this is not my standard picture.
Yeah, I think usually you would put kind of a false frame around a photo like this.
Right.
Well, I think it works fine without it. It's still very much your style. And I will add that because of all the green, this one works really well as an anaglyph.
Yeah, I didn't try it. Let's see. I got my analysis here.
We do have an anaglyph live stream. It doesn't get a lot of views, but it's there if you need it. It's a good backup if your 3D TV or Lume Pad or AR glasses or whatever high-tech viewer you're using are on the fritz. I personally don't recommend anaglyphs, but they do come in handy. Yeah, really nice.
And notice how our mind tends to even out the difference in exposure from the left and the right side, because the right side is slightly more heavily exposed than the left. Not much, maybe a quarter of a stop, half a stop at the most.
I didn't notice that. I'll fix it.
Yeah,
Our mind already fixes it.
that's true.
Well, it does beat a little bit. It probably would, the sky anyway, would probably benefit from auto color adjustment.
Stereo Photo Maker can fix that by picking the left image and it'll actually make the right image exactly the same
Yeah, that's
color.
auto color adjust.
Sometimes I get weird effects doing that.
Photoshop has a similar tool, match color. And yeah, in my experience, it's sort of hit or miss too. But I think we can all trust Oleg to adjust that sky a bit and make it match. Very nice, Oleg. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ed, here is your vitamin C crystal. That'll be popping up any minute now. There we go. Ed might not be with us right now. Oh, there he is. Hey, Ed.
Can you hear me? I
Loud
was
and clear.
muted myself.
No problem.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So yeah, this picture is not actually a stereoscopic picture. I don't really like the picture that much, but it was I took this with a regular microscope with single lens, light path, one picture. I don't know if any of you folks have heard this. I used a tool called focus stacking, where you
Sure, Jeff Muzaka used to use a lot of it.
Yes, and then the program takes the data from the focus stacking, gives you an in focus image, but then it exports a 3D model that you can save as a stereo pair like this. So it was just sort of an experiment that I did with the I just bought the software, so I was trying it out, and it was kind of an interesting effect, an interesting result.
So this is a CG reconstruction of your photos, or
Well, I did the focus stacking. I took a series of frames at different focus levels, fed it into the program. It created a stack, right? And it gave me a single image with all of the levels in focus in one image, but then it exported a 3D model, which you can like twist and turn and rotate, but then you can save it as a stereo pair or an anaglyph or a couple other different options.
So it's a stereo conversion of a photostack
A
microscopy.
stack.
Yeah, nice. I mean, there's not a lot of depth that I'd love to see.
Well, that's the other
more.
thing. You can exaggerate the depth. You can adjust the perceived depth. There's like a little slider.
Like a depth map.
I don't know what that is.
So were you using the film layers for the color again?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
We're using something to get color to the image, the last image. Is this?
Yeah, it's a polarized filter. Yeah. Otherwise, there's no color at all in the crystal.
Great color in this one. Yeah, it's fascinating, Ed. When you did the focus stacking, did that software produce the pair, or did it export some kind of file that you brought into another program to get the stereo pair? Did you do it in one program?
Okay, so I took the stack. I took like 12 images, and I put them into the software, and it created the single image. And then there was an option to export a 3D model. And then there's like a companion software, or something like a 3D viewer, which gives you the actual like model on the screen, and then that you can save in a couple of different formats.
Got it. Fascinating. Yeah. So it's not really a conversion because it is using real depth data that it must have collected during the focus stacking process.
I gather that's what it does. You've told it which is far and which is near, and it just creates these companion images. I don't know anything more about it. This is the first time I've ever tried it, but I thought it was maybe something worth mentioning.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating.
Fascinating. This is new to a lot of us also. A lot of us have experience with focus stacking, but not generating a 3D image after creating a stack of images using that technique.
The software is called Helicon. Helicon Soft is the name of the program.
See, I mean, now I get the principle. I mean, if the system knows what depth each level of focus is, then yeah, it's got information to build a model. It's fascinating.
And it's probably adjustable.
Yeah.
Yeah, please keep experimenting with this.
Yeah,
you can
we'd
make
love
some
to
of
see
these
more.
things stand out like mountains.
I put a link to Helicon Soft in the chat. Thanks, Ed, for sharing that. Those of us who have been attending these meetings for a while remember Jack Musacco, a former member who passed away, who did his own series of microstereo photography. And one of the sample images is a spider that sure reminds me of Jack's work. He was no arachnophobe. Anyway, thank you, Ed, for sharing the software. And yeah, we would love to see more of these. Please keep submitting them. This is very, very unique. And a fascinating
Ed, I'd like
technique.
to thank you for for showing up at the meeting and showing off your stuff last month. it inspired me to finally get off my ass and get my stereoscope repaired. So I headed off to eBay and found a replacement head for $100. And thanks for inspiring me. I hope to be doing shots like this soon.
That's great to hear, Mike. Does that mean we're going to be seeing some stereo micros from you in the coming months?
Well, the nautiluslive.org has just started a new expedition, sending their ROVs a couple thousand meters down into the dark sea to look at World War II shipwrecks. So I'm going to be pretty much tied up with that for the next month or so, trying to find sequential pairs to make stereo out of.
Fair enough. Yeah, Mike, there's
Good
no
luck.
hurry. If you want to get your stereo micros to us next year, we're not going anywhere. Keep them in your back pocket. Just don't forget about us when you start producing these. And I will put a link to Nautilus Live in the chat so we can see what Mike is referring to. So you're going to be examining the photos generated from this ocean exploration mission, looking for stereo pairs for found stereo photography?
Exactly. They actually broadcast 3 live streams 24 hours a day over YouTube. So I set up my computer with OBS to record all 3 of those streams 24 hours a day for the month or so that the expedition goes on. And as time permits, go back through the videos and search for the good stuff.
Wow.
Eats up a lot of disk.
I can imagine, yeah. And you're recording these in HD resolution, I presume?
Well, whatever YouTube gives me. I think I've got OBS set to record at 1920 1080, so
Yeah, there we go.
that's enough.
Plenty of resolution. Well, that's exciting. Yeah, thanks, Mike. And thank you, Ed. Here you are already inspiring us. So keep them coming, Ed. All right. Bob, I've got you coming up next with a photo titled Clouds Hyper 3.
I wasn't sure if I had exhibited an earlier version of this before. This was taken on a recent trip back from Chicago, just shot out of the airplane.
That's gorgeous.
Thanks. Yeah, I like I particularly like the break in the clouds in the lower right, kind of see through to that other level.
Yeah, it almost looks like a pseudo or something. So
yeah.
So this is a cell phone?
Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome.
I mean, it'd be wonderful to have like another plane down there or something. But then
that can be done.
It looks like a bumpy ride, was it?
A little bit, but not that much. This is actually, I think I just did a video and did a couple of screen grabs. So I'd have a lot of choice. And then I did run it through Camera Raw and changed it to black and white. It had a very blue cast to it, which I kind of liked, but I think this is much more dramatic given the contrast of those clouds.
yeah, and you have a really good range of exposures too. And I like that you can't even see the ground. It's just cloud. It's just a pure cloudscape.
Yeah, it's a whole cloud landscape in there. I liked imagining walking through it.
You have some nice textures that are captured in stereo also. The wispiness of some of these clouds contrasted with the structure of the rest, which is really lost in the 2D version of this if you close an eye.
One thing I'd like to mention, I've taken some time-lapse videos of clouds over my property with about 1,000-foot interaxial to be able to get depth in. They look a whole lot different from below than above, I must admit.
1,000 feet. Hopefully those are some distant clouds.
Are you
It's a
using
long way up there.
Are you using
For
Wayne
some
for
of the,
this
go
two
ahead.
synchronized cameras or a single camera and having the clouds move?
No, I'm using two cameras. They're time lapse, so you don't have to be that precise with syncing time lapse with slow moving objects like clouds. I just start them at the same time, basically two action cameras. And then I put it through Stereo Movie Maker and out pops the video.
Oh, I'd love to see those.
Yeah, I second that. If we can see them here, that'd be great. Or if you can give us some YouTube links, that'd be very much appreciated.
Got them on Flickr. I may post a link there.
All right.
Great.
Yeah, post a link in the chat, and we'd also love to see him at a future meeting as well.
I'll give it a try here.
All right. Well, thank you, Bob.
Sure.
Melinda, we have one by you coming up next. Tell us about free balls.
Yeah, so this was at one of the Tesla takedown protests in the city here. I like going to it. It's a fun crowd, and of course, lots of funny signs and things like that. This was just a quick snap, and I got super lucky because she was actually right in the middle of sort of flipping the sign around to the other side, and I just so happened to catch it in a really really nice sort of dramatic position and useful in 3D and everything. So it turned out pretty well. It was a very lucky shot. I had to do a bit of Photoshop work to separate the background and bring out some of the details. It was pretty dark back there originally, but otherwise it was a pretty easy shot.
Great to have a sign with 3D characteristics of its own.
That's a good point too. Yeah, and I really like the just the bold primary colors, and it's just so festive for the message. It's lots of creative signs. This usually I'm not taking pictures of the signs, but this one caught my eye.
And a fair amount of depth for your hydrogen 1. Really, the subject of interest is in the foreground.
Yeah, there was a lot more to the left to crop that all out.
Tesla dealer in the background.
Sorry?
There's the Tesla dealer in the background.
Oh yes, yeah, I definitely kept the logo.
And Melinda, that was the that's intentional, right? I mean, the protesters gathered at this site because of that Tesla dealership.
Yes. I guess these are weekly protests, and I guess it kind of started with the anger about Doge and Musk's involvement in that. But it still goes on. So I guess people just, I mean, I enjoy going out there.
Well, he's still got all the information, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's still plenty to hate. But we'll see. I don't know. He's talking about spending all his money to primary all the senators that voted against that voted for the the big bad bill. But so we'll see if he follows through. It's not going to make people suddenly love him or anything, but he could repair some of the damage.
Seems like he's got plenty to spend.
That he does. That he does.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Melinda.
Oh, and by the way, this happened to be his birthday. Sort of apropos of nothing, but I thought it was kind of funny.
One more thing I'll say, great exposure in this photo. You know, that's a white sign in the bright sun, no blowouts. You've got a nicely exposed sky. Did you manipulate shadow highlights or anything in this photo?
I did, and that's probably where I spent most of my time. So I isolated the background from the foreground, and then in the background I boosted the shadows. Actually, I think no, that's right. Mostly boosted the shadows in the background and brought down the highlights in the foreground.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But you're right. There's a lot of contrast, but it did okay. It likes full sun.
And here we see that sharp focus throughout, from that close sign in the foreground to the church in the distant background. Thank you, Melinda.
Mm-hmm.
This next photo is by me. The title is Accordionist Tatiana Semichastnia performing at the Festa Italiana. And I was actually just cutting through Washington Square in San Francisco during this festival. I did enjoy some of the festival. I didn't think the subject was interesting enough from the front to bother taking a stereo photo, but when I took a shortcut to get out of there and walked along the back of the stage, I found what I thought was a really nice composition. And Tatiana is an amazing accordionist. She's not very well represented on YouTube, but I encourage you to check her out.
I like how you framed her in the scrim or the screen of the netting, whatever this is.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was going for, using these gaps as frames. And Tatiana is kind of dissected at the head here, but I think it still works.
Good example of a shot that would give auto conversion a lot of trouble.
Ah. Yeah, might not know what to do with that that scrim. I took this with my twin Sonys, and the lenses were about 65 millimeters apart. The lenses on the Sonys are a bit wide. I don't think I straightened out any verticals or horizontals on this. This is how it came out of the camera. All right, let's move on to one by Phyllis. Mao Man. And Phyllis, again, you know, I'm just so impressed. You must have had some communication with this subject. Tell us what we're looking at here.
And I had no communication with him, actually. He was just standing there, and I thought that was a classic pose. He looked like he was from the 1800s, dressed in Mao type clothing, and, you know, hauling the bag. And I'm not even sure what was on the outside of that bag, but it just struck me as just kind of a perfect pose. Normally, I don't put people in the middle, but in this case, it seemed, I don't know, it just, well, I was also, the stuff on the left was not very interesting either, but this would have been great vertically, but not for the show I was doing. So the composition's a little weird for me, but he's so powerful. I think it worked.
I was just reading a book the other day. There's an anecdote about that a character uses the magic power of a camera to make people do what you want.
Well, they were not actually performing for me.
Yeah.
They were as curious about me as I was about them.
Mm.
But he wasn't looking at me at the time. He looked at me after I took the picture, but he was focusing on something that was going on down the street.
Well, that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like he's posing.
It does. That was just his way of being. You know, it was interesting because I was doing this to do a documentary show, and I also shot black and white, and the black and white photos, I was doing that at the same time. Black and white medium format are much better composition than these are, but I needed to have the flow of the same shape images. And when I went back 4 years later, I saw nobody dressed like that. They all had American t-shirts on. It was very interesting how different 4 years makes.
Well, this photo might be an extreme example, but we certainly have argued here that centering the subject in a stereo composition isn't breaking the rules as it might in traditional 2D photography. And I'm putting a link in the chat to Oleg's 3D is Different article, which is posted on our website. And I do refer to this article myself, and we do reference it in our meetings. So if you're looking, Phyllis, for justification for how you've formatted this photo, and I don't think you need to justify it, I think you can find it.
All right, I'll check that out. Thank you.
One thing that I notice in the series of photos is, you know, how little color there is. Of course, these are color photos, but gray is the dominant shade.
Well, they were also, remember, tearing down the cities at the same time. So a lot of the warmth was already taken away, because they are literally tearing this down. I have another photo. I don't know if I can access it in 3D, but with a line on the wall that shows where the water level is going to be. I'm surprised I haven't seen it in any of these yet, but about at the top of his hat, there'd be a line written on the wall with an arrow on it and saying that this is where the water is going to be by such and such a date.
Wow.
Wow.
Not that it made a difference because everything's going to be underwater, but that was a very powerful image in black and white medium format, but not so much. There was no depth to it for 3D.
I'm actually glad that they're not knocking down the buildings, that they'll still exist under the water. I'm sure that.
Well, they had to knock down some because the boats would go over them.
Hmm.
So they really did have to tear down a lot of the buildings because, and well, for two reasons. One, they were taking the, you can see they're deconstructing the bricks right here. They're actually hauling those bricks away to use them somewhere else up above.
Wow.
So they were reusing a lot of the materials, and they had to have it down because boats were going to be, flying. We're going to be going over the cities, so they really couldn't have anything. They had to move some of the huge, beautiful wooden religious places had to be taken apart piece by piece and moved up above. So they really did have to pretty much tear down everything. And I have a lot of pictures of them deconstructing and hauling it away to be used somewhere else. The materials were very valuable to them.
Fascinating. Well, thanks, Phyllis, and I hope you have more of these to show us. Of course, we've got one more from this set tonight, but moving forward, I'm really enjoying these, and I can't wait to see more.
Thank you.
Let's move on to one by Oleg. And the title, I can see I sort of stumbled on the title here. The title is Yellow Center Stripe at Novato Wine Festival.
I like the balance of the picture, so I took it.
It's amazing with the shadows and everything just marching off
Yeah.
to the vanishing point. What's your separation?
6 inches.
This is the SLRs.
Yes.
The
With
overhead
the-
trees really sell this.
Yeah, it goes all the way over. So is it are these your wide angle lenses, or what did you use?
Yes, this is super wide angle.
Got it. Yeah, that's a perfect subject for the equipment. It's really striking.
Scene.
Beg your pardon?
I do find that a stunning scene.
Indeed. And just imagine that one of these canopies has a banner on it that says 3D Theater, and in there is a 3D TV running the running our best of slideshow.
Well, there's a intentional photo to try to take.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The
3D
stroll,
does so much with
Solano.
this.
Yeah, with the stroll, Solano Avenue is on a slope, so it wouldn't be the same opportunity directly. But yeah, we'll definitely want to get good coverage.
Yeah, Solano doesn't have these beautiful trees, and I think it's going to be a bit more crowded than this. This is very special, Oleg.
I went there an hour later, and the people had arrived, and they covered everything. This picture disappeared.
Just a mass of bodies. Yeah, very successful. Thank you, Oleg. Bob, here's, I think this is a nice creative from you. Mexican bush sage mirrored.
Looks like a bug to me.
Yeah, I think it looks like the head of a grasshopper.
Really pretty one.
Yeah. But I love the detail, and
That's awesome.
hopefully it'll bring some rain.
That is gorgeous.
Yeah, you've given it some personality.
We must have done a very good job marrying the mirror split at various planes in the picture. That's always a problem I run into.
Yeah, it's usually the center that requires a lot of work. This one, I didn't do a lot on it.
Yeah, it's hard to know when it's going to be difficult or not. But
Yeah, with Stereo
Just-
Photo Maker, I find I'm experimenting a lot in the cropping to see where it comes out in the mirror. And it does make a difference where you start from your crop also. But this was, you can see the original photo just split in half either side, but which was quite nice. I like the textures and the rain, but just lent itself for this mirror effect.
yeah, and the exposure is perfect.
Thanks.
It's very nice.
Great texture on those leaves. And Bob, you
Is
said
that
you used
Cell
go ahead,
phone
Bones.
also.
This one, gee, it's I'm just trying to remember. It's either cell phone or my Sony, so it could have been the mirrorless.
It's really sharp. And the dark in the background is great too.
Thanks.
A very, very comfortable depth.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Oh, and Bob, you said you used Stereo Photo Maker. Did you use the mirror tool to create this?
Yes, yes.
Nicely done. Thank you. Melinda,
This is a
we
good
have,
entry for pseudo.
pseudo. It could be.
Yeah, I haven't tried it in pseudo. I'll have to see.
I just
Try
did
it.
it. Work for
Yeah,
me.
seriously, the dark areas jump forward. Makes a more of a kaleidoscope feel. Yeah.
Well, let me see. Melinda, I'm going to back up here for a moment before we get to your photo.
No problem.
See if I can pseudo these on our live streams so we can share that effect. Might take a few moments to pop in. And then I just need to remember to set it back so that we're not starting our pseudo special early. Oh yeah.
Now it's looking like a cut emerald.
Yeah, it's all deconstructed.
Well, I'm really looking forward to our pseudo stereo subject next week. Let me switch these back. That's a lot of fun. And now I'm going to move forward. And whenever you're ready, Melinda, whenever it pops up for you, we have activists leaving the protest.
Yeah, so this was at the end of the No Kings protest, June 14th. The huge crowd down at Civic Center. And marchers came all the way from Dolores Park, and pretty much all of downtown was solid people, and pretty successful. No violence or anything like that. And then when I was leaving, saw this other woman leaving with her protest signs in the bag, and just very carefully making her way home, and was very I was very impressed with her determination.
Yeah, you said it.
And I think her shawl might be like a traditional Palestinian
Looks like a kafia.
pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about those, but I realized later that it might have something to do with the whole Gaza business. Other people had similar black and white shawls.
Well, it looks like she gave it her all. She looks pretty beat.
Oh yeah, above and beyond. But I kind of know how she feels. I mean, I'm feeling pretty old myself, and it takes an effort to get out there and do that. And then it's a lot of sun and stimulation, and it's so it takes a bit of determination, but it feels good that there's something that we can do. I mean, it might be small, but in aggregate, especially that day, you could see how big the feelings and the movements are.
Yeah, 5 million people, that sends a message.
Yeah, biggest in U.S. history, I believe.
That's what I've read.
And I think it'll be maybe a not quite as large, but another big event on the 4th.
In San Francisco?
I think every city. I think just spontaneously, there's going to be people are going to gather and bring protest signs and stuff. But I don't think there's any organizing going on.
Oh.
Is there something planned for the 14th as well?
Yeah, I think that's the next big one.
Oh, is there? Is that a extension of the No Kings? Are they making
Yeah.
it monthly or something? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this is going to be a very typical thing, I think, and it gives me some hope.
And I think we'll be seeing more photos of these events as well, because they are so regular.
Yeah, I encourage everybody to get out there too, even if it's just to take record pictures. It's something we'll remember.
I'll tell you a story. I took a friend from out of town into the city on the day of the No Kings protest, just to take him to the ferry building, take him around the touristy areas. And he was quite worried. And when we reached the Powell Street cable car turnaround, he really panicked because he thought that group of tourists waiting for the cable car was a violent demonstration. And
I mean, it kind of is, just not the way it thinks.
So there was definitely an energy in the city. That's as close as he got. Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you.
And this next one is mine. I'm so-so with this one. Great light, waiting for the ferry. I'm glad I got some people in it. I think this one really needs a vertical, a telephone pole or something in the left area of this photo to give it some additional 3D interest. But I'm curious what you guys have to say about it.
I see
mean,
what
you
you
could get.
Go ahead.
Sorry, you could add a border that would give it a vertical on the left.
If it was possible to get lower to the water, you get more value out of the reflections.
Yeah, good point. Border can do. This is, I think, pretty much the full frame, so there's no more water that I can find, but I can go back and try this one again. Well, I will, because this is how I get to the city and back, the ferry. But I don't always get this nice light.
Take this and go to pseudo and watch how it does not work.
I'm not going to try that. I'll take your word for it.
The thing about a shot with this in pseudo is that there's too much context of leading perspective for your brain to turn it inside out. You still see the bridge receding away from you.
Yeah, that's very well put.
Not a lot of non-binocular clues.
Yeah.
Well put. Yeah, I am looking forward to our pseudo slideshow next week and the creative solutions that we come up with. This one definitely would not work for that. All right, thanks, guys. Phyllis, tell us about Yangtze River View.
Well, this was in my favorite little town of Dachang, and where a lot of the people shots were taken, right on the river. And there was this really, I just thought it was a really charming view of the river, right to the right of where we're standing. There were two guys with a sawing with a really long saw. I have pictures of them too, but so there was activity happening right next to this very tranquil view. And now this is a good example. I don't think I don't have one from the same area because I would have been underwater, but the water level went about double where the light part is on the other side. Bring that up another 2 times, and that's how high the water went. So it really made a huge difference.
Wow.
And of course, the walkway was underwater too. So
That's a gorgeous shot.
but I liked the framing,
Yeah.
the trees. Thought it added a lot to it. Interestingly, when I went back 4 years later, the water was clear, bluish kind of color. There were people out in sampans who were hired by the government to pick up any garbage that was floating in the water. So it was very clean. This water was so bad that they had a native porpoise that was only in the Yangtze River, and they were dying out as very fast. There was garbage floating in it. There were dead bodies floating in it, human and animal. So it was really, really dirty water. And they were using that water for everything. So it's pretty surprising that they were as well off as they were. But 4 years later, it was totally different.
Wow. I remember reading about those porpoises in National Geographic.
Yep.
There's the pink porpoises. I think they were different species.
Yes, it was unusual. Only found there.
Yeah, I think that's them.
I like the way you framed it.
Yeah, that's where all the depth is in the framing of those trees. It's a very clever stereo solution for this.
I tried.
You tried and you succeeded. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Phyllis. Oleg, I'm sure there's a story behind this title, Picnic Tables Almost Abandoned.
Well, they finished their lunch, I guess, and they're standing behind there. I liked all the colors.
Mm.
You don't see that many reds in one place.
Yeah, again, the overhead tree cover really sells the space. I like the people all the way back.
Did you do any color manipulation here, Oleg?
No, actually, I tried upping the colors, but it looked better with natural colors.
All those reds were as you found them.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, very pleasant, Oleg, and very comfortable to view.
I like how that tree is sort of a natural umbrella, and the stereo shows the shape.
In the background is the lake where all of the water comes from my house. Forget the name of it.
Melinda, that's a good point. In 2D, that umbrella shape of the tree is lost. It's just a mass of leaves.
I'm guessing that's probably what caught Oleg's eye.
Oleg, did you
It's
help
very
yourself
nice.
to some birthday cake while you were there?
I no,
Maybe
of
that's what
course
caught
not.
your eye. All right. Well, thank you, Oleg. It's lovely.
Thank you.
Bob, tell us about this critter. This is raccoon in tree stump.
Yeah, we volunteered our property. We're right on a creek in West Marin out in the woods. And wife Marilyn used to be on the board of Wild Care, and they asked if they could use our property to release some raccoons, and this was one of them, who took immediately to this hollow stump, and I grabbed my camera and got him there.
That's terrific.
Yeah, it's a great shot.
And this is a 2D conversion.
Okay.
Oh, had no idea.
I was waiting to see if anyone asked before
I was going to ask about
revealed it.
I was going to ask about the top third.
What
of
did
the,
what did you use to do the conversion?
That was just done in Immersity 3D,
Okay.
formerly I like to call them the Leah Pixies.
So I've been having a lot of fun with Owl 3D. I wonder if anybody else has tried Owl 3D.
I did once. I want to get back to it. Several people have expressed success with that. I find Immersity gives me, it gets me about 80% there most of the time. And this, I just did a little cloning, but the 3D, I didn't really touch it. I didn't do any manipulation on that. But he was
Would be improved by cropping out the stump up above and just
yeah,
showing.
I've got 4 different versions of this at various crops, and actually some similar shots. And one of them is cropping out the top third of that. So just the bottom part of that stump shows. I couldn't decide. I kind of liked showing the whole thing and his place.
I think that I think it helps. I mean, that was actually the first thing I tried here when I was fooling with it. But I think that the context of the tree above it really helps.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not need all of it. It's just that showing that it is the base of a tree. I think that helps.
I think most of us here are familiar with 2D to 3D conversion, but for what it's worth, I put in links in the chat to both Owl 3D and Immersity.
And a little tip I've mentioned before, though, if you want to try Immersity, they do have a program where you buy credits, which I've done. I've used it for a long time, and they used to have it totally free. Now you can buy credits, or they'll let you do a smaller resolution version that has their watermark. And thankfully, they started putting their watermark at the very bottom right of the shot. So all I do is take my image and I add a little bit of extra bottom to it. So that's where the Immersity logo ends up, and you can just crop it. And then I bring it into Topaz Gigapix and enlarge it. And it works really well, especially if there's an image I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. I'll kind of test drive it at the lower resolution.
That's a great way to work the system.
I don't begrudge them. I'm going to probably buy some credits. It's a great program. They've added a lot of features to it as well. I need to become more versed in depth map manipulation.
Well, it's encouraging that these conversion services seem to be growing. They seem to be doing well, and that there's more than one. That tells me that there's interest in this, and I think that bodes well for 3D in general. Yeah, thanks, Bob. That's an adorable creature.
You should have seen his cage mates. There was one albino
Wow.
I had never seen before. There were 3 of them that got released, and they all kind of took off in different directions.
Yeah, that's a noble portrait.
Yeah, he was a handsome fellow.
Melinda, coming up next is one by you. Fuck Ice is the title.
Yeah, this was kind of fun. I mean, it's unfortunate that it's vandalism, but understandable anyway. This was the No Kings protest, and so I had joined pretty much at where the Dolores March was flowing in to the Civic Center, and so I was walking with these folks toward the left, and I just saw somebody taking a picture of the sheriff's van, but I was around the corner. I didn't know why they were taking a picture, and then when I passed it, and I was curious enough to look to see what they were interested in, and then realized immediately that I needed to take the picture too. So yeah, it's and then the mix of people and signs and stuff in the background is just whatever happened to be there. I didn't wait for anything in particular. It's such a photogenic crowd. Everywhere you look, there's something interesting.
I may have you on 3D video. I took lots of stereo video and stills of the thing. I'm trying to put it together, but yeah, it was some amazing. I couldn't believe the size of the crowd. It was just so uplifting.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I actually took a big panoramic video from a spot there of the crowd. Maybe I'll share that. Probably put it on YouTube or something. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get the scale of the event.
There was some great. There was even a couple of sisters of the Perpetual Indulgence.
Mm.
Yeah, they're
There were-
they're great activists. I haven't seen them this year, but
I
I'm
think
not
I got one of the
surprised.
first indulgences they ever handed out in the 70s.
Huh,
I didn't know they were doing that.
Really?
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I've seen many iterations of the introverts sign. I think it's my favorite.
Yeah.
The repeating slogans.
The first time I noticed it.
One of my favorites was "No Folking Way." It's pretty nice.
So like, I'm not a paid protester. I'll hate him for free.
Right. Exactly. There were several.
Now, this photo is my favorite of the 3 protest photos you've submitted tonight, Melinda. I love that we can read all the signs, that they're sort of pointed towards us. It's really all about the signs. And that graffiti, too. I think it really captures the spirit.
It does capture the spirit. Yeah, I don't condone the graffiti, but yeah, I understand it, and I'll record it.
Yeah, you recorded it. You didn't make it. Excellent. Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you.
Welcome, Roberto. Glad you could make it for the last photo, but we'll do a quick run through again so you'll be able to see them.
Perfect. Sorry for being so late.
Oh, no problem. Glad you could make it, and
enjoy
well,
the slideshow at the end.
all right, we've got one more photo in our slideshow. And it's by me, and it's another variation of the R Evolution sculpture that I showed last month. I think the depth is a little bit better in this one. It could be a little bit more hyper, but there is some depth. And I like the position of the sun shooting into the light. That's a technique I resort to when I've kind of run out of compositions. Our Evolution is a 43-foot, I think, sculpture. There is a mechanism inside that runs for, I think, an hour a day. When it's dark, there are lights also. And I'm not sure how much longer she's going to be there. So if you want to photograph her, make your way to Embarcadero Plaza in San Francisco. I think she's on tour. She was made for Burning Man, and I'm not sure what her next stop is, but she'll probably be exhibited in another city after San Francisco.
Do you know what time they light her up?
You know, the website says 5 o'clock, but
Okay.
that was, I think, in December, February, whenever she was erected. It's, of course, now light at 5 o'clock, so I don't think that the lighting inside the sculpture would be as effective. I still haven't seen it happen.
Yeah, it makes sense to keep it closer to sunset. I'll have to investigate. This also reminds me, I still need to do a 3D shot inside the Hyatt Regency. The building in the background there.
Yeah, you can see the Hyatt Regency there in the background, as you said. Yeah, funny you mentioned that, Tor, because I've been thinking I need to shoot more interiors. My library is mostly this sort of street photography. I'm really lacking in stairwells, windows. I've seen some beautiful stereo compositions from other stereo photographers that I'm anxious to try myself. So maybe I'll beat you to that.
Probably will.
Well, hey, why don't we go together? We'll get some lunch.
Yeah.
I like that idea. All right, I'll follow up and we'll make a plan.
Cool.
And as I promised, that is our slideshow for tonight, but we're not done yet. I'm going to go through the slideshow again. We do have our poll, and if you can, please participate in the poll. There's a link there for your computer, web browser. You can also access the poll on your phone or tablet, and there is a QR code there to make that a little easier. I'm going to run through the slideshow again. I'll just spend a few moments on each slide. I will say the name of the maker and the title to refresh our memory. I'll show this informational slide again in case you missed the link to the poll. And then we'll spend a minute or two making our selections. Let's do this right now. These first two slides are not in the poll, but don't forget the Solano Stroll. That, incidentally, is the banner that will be displayed over our canopy, that 3D theater banner. And I forgot to put a link to the webpage for this event. I think I did in the chat. I'm putting it in there now. This is a link you can share if you want to invite friends or family to this event. It's been a while since we've shown our own photography at a live event, and I think this is definitely worth visiting. That said, let's start with the slideshow. This is Dockings by Phyllis. Decorated Fence at a Sonoma Farm by Oleg. Aspirin Crystal by Ed. Beatrice by Bob. Palantir by Melinda. San Francisco by Matt. China Ducklings by Phyllis. Bicyclist Enters Novato Bike Park by Oleg. Vitamin C Crystal by Ed. Clouds Hyper 3 by Bob. Free Balls by Melinda. Accordionist Tatiana Semichastnia performing at the Festa Italiana by Matt. Mao Man by Phyllis. Yellow Center Stripe at Novato Wine Festival by Oleg. Mexican Bush Sage Mirrored by Bob. Activist Leaving the Protest by Melinda. Boarding the Richmond Ferry by Matt. Yangtze River View by Phyllis. Picnic Tables Almost Abandoned by Oleg. Raccoon in Tree Stump by Bob. Fuck Ice by Melinda. And Our Evolution with Light by Matt. Incidentally, I incorrectly specified Bob's Raccoon and Tree Stump as a native, but it's actually a conversion. That shouldn't affect your opinion of the photo or your selection in the poll. So let's spend a minute or two making our selections. Please select your 3 favorites, and following that, I will share the results.
Three's too few.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Too many
tough
good.
with a slideshow like this where there's so many excellent photos.
Yeah, hopefully in future we can do ranked choice voting, and you can put all your favorites near the top.
We will get to that point, and it was my goal to work on that this year, and I've been so distracted with these live events that I've put it off and put it off. But there is an end in sight, and then I'll be able to refocus my energies on ranked choice voting, which I agree is important.
And of course, let me help as much as I'm able to.
Yeah, you got it. I appreciate that. While we're making our selections, I wanted to mention, if you haven't noticed already, Wayne did put a link to his 1,000-foot interaxial time lapse of clouds. It's a Flickr link. We'll get Wayne to share some of those with us also. One other announcement that I will make while we're wrapping up our selections. Our next meeting is next week. That's July 8th, Tuesday. It is our pseudo special exhibition. I will be redesigning our reminder email to make it more clear when the open slideshow is as opposed to the special slideshow. Nevertheless, I'm looking forward to next week's. For our August meeting, I'm going to propose that we combine our first and second Tuesday meeting into a single meeting, because our August meetings are typically sparsely attended. A lot of us are on vacation or on the road or out photographing. Does anyone have any opinions about that? I'm thinking of combining the open and the special division into a single meeting that would be the first Tuesday of August. It doesn't sound like there are any strong objections to that idea.
I think we're good there.
I'll play it by ear. There have been August
In
meetings.
August, I say
Oh, what was that, Phyllis?
first Tuesday in August is during 3D Con.
Ah,
Hmm.
thank you for bringing that up. I wasn't even thinking about that. So in that case, it might make more sense for us to have our August meeting the second Tuesday of the month and skip the first Tuesday and combine those two meetings then.
Which is the 12th.
Which would be the, I'll take your word for that because I don't actually have my camera in front of my calendar in front of me. Let's see.
What is 3D Con?
Oh my goodness.
Phyllis, take it away.
3D Con is where all the 3D geeks in the country get together, in fact, from all over the world, to showcase their 3D. We have slideshows every night. We have workshops. We have tours that we get to photograph on. It is a week full of the most amazing 3D experience you can have. And it happens every year, every summer, in different cities. And we're always looking for people to run them. I've done.
Nice. I will check it out.
August 2nd through the 11th.
Roberto,
And
oh, go
special 3D films shown too. 3D Archives have premiered some of their new Blu-rays that are coming out at the conference. And keynote speakers have always been interesting.
Where is it
Nice.
this year?
Minneapolis.
Okay.
You can go to 3DCon 2025 on the internet and find the website with everything on it.
And I just put a link to the website in the chat for those who are interested.
Yes, thank you for that.
As I said, unfortunately, I can't make it. It's my my busy time at the office. I know that's a lame excuse, but there it is. But it's definitely worth checking out. The NSA is constantly trying to rope me into running a 3D con in the Bay Area. The Bay Area really needs a 3D con.
Mm-hmm.
Someday, maybe they'll get me. I would like to see that happen. Yes, thank you, Phyllis. Let me share the results of our poll. Share my screen here. For the viewers on our YouTube and Twitch streams, unfortunately, I won't be able to show you the results, but these will be shown on our Zoom screen share. And here they are. So Oleg, I kind of botched the title in the poll of your Yellow Center Stripe at Nevada Wine Festival, but we'll call it our first place with 3 votes. Well done. And then we have quite a number of ties with 2 votes. Bob's Beatrice, Phyllis's China Ducklings, Bob's Clouds Hyper 3, Phyllis's Yangtze River View, Bob's Raccoon and Tree Stump. This is establishing a pattern here. And even I've got one in there with our Evolution with Light. Bob and Phyllis and Oleg, well done. And I look forward to seeing your pseudo-stereo photos next week. Now, remarkably, we've actually finished more or less on time tonight. That's a record for me. It's only 3 minutes past 9. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone next week. But before we call it a night, does anyone have anything they'd like to share or add?
Yes, I just took a quick peek at the 1,000-foot stereo clouds. It's pretty stunning, and maybe you could put it on.
Well, I can. Let's see. I can try. Let me see. I won't be able to share it on our live streams, but I might be able to share it over Zoom. Let me give this a try. And let me share the screen here. And let's see how this goes. The frame rate might not be ideal depending on your internet connection. And we'll have to freeview this. But let's
I'm getting it.
Yeah. Do you have the sound? There was some nice musical
There is
accompaniment,
sound.
as I
I
recall.
don't know if it's coming across.
It turns out to be a pretty decent separation for those clouds. It's
Yeah, when you share the screen, you have to specifically share the sound, otherwise it doesn't come across.
I see. Okay. Let me see if I can share sound. There it is. Optimized for video sharing. Is the sound coming across now?
I'm not hearing it.
No, not hearing it. Also, that's smoothing it out a bit. So I downloaded the original. It's very smooth. It's beautiful. Time lapse. And if anybody has an opportunity to see John Hart's 3D presentations, he has a couple that feature time lapse. It's this gorgeous time lapse clouds and storms.
Mm.
Where do you find those, Bob?
I have to write time. I actually bought his collected works, but he may have them posted online somewhere. I would just contact him, or I can try to research that.
How long ago did you do it? Because I bought some from him, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, mine too. I think he was selling like a thumb drive of his shows.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to my thumb drive.
Well, I can talk to him and share maybe one of his things or ask him about it.
Yeah, this is remarkable.
Yeah, these are lovely.
I think this is worth downloading and viewing on your own device as well. The
Yeah,
link
definitely.
is in the chat. I'll put it in again. It's so you don't have to search for it if anyone is interested.
Is this the only viewing option, full side-by-side, or is there a squeeze side-by-side?
Good
I think there is.
question.
I was viewing a squeeze side by side on the Lume Pad earlier.
Okay.
I think one of the options.
That's just the output we're watching right now. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Didn't
No,
remove
keep
it then.
keeper. That's a keeper.
I think there is. I was viewing a squeeze side by side. There we go.
For folks who don't know, you can use FFmpeg to convert full side-by-side to squeezed side-by-side fairly easily.
No, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can find the command to do that. It's a command line utility, but let me see if I can find the command to do it.
Wow, you know, we just don't really get skies like this in the East Bay.
We get rolling fog, which is its own
Right.
thing.
But that fog is too close. It's
Yeah.
just not going to give us this this detail. Well, that was fascinating.
Yeah.
While Herb is looking for that FFmpeg.
So I just have this as a shell script. So if I'm just going to put the command in, the $1 is the input, the $2 is the output. You can make this a shell script for people who know what a shell script is. Otherwise, just where it says $1, put in the name of your input file, and where it says $2, put in the name of the output file.
And FFmpeg, is this it's a command line tool? Is this an application that
Freeware
you
or
download?
command, I mean, it just search for FFmpeg. It's a free tool that you can download for just about anything.
Oh, that's great to know.
Thanks, Herb.
Well, Wayne has an incredible collection of stereophotography and 3D videos. We'll ask him for a source of half-width side-by-side, and he might have others that he'd like to share as well.
All right.
And I see, Herb, your FFmpeg command. And here is a link to download the tool itself. Yeah. I haven't used it myself, but I've certainly heard about this tool. And if Herb says it's good, then I'll check it out myself.
It really is a Swiss Army knife of video processing conversions. Kind of like Image Magic is good for image conversions. FFmpeg is, the cat's meow when it comes to video stuff.
And FFmpeg isn't specifically for 3D video, but it does
No,
support.
it's just a video toolkit, but basically what it's doing is it's dividing the width in half. So it doesn't know that it's stereo input or stereo output. It's just making it half width.
Just changing the aspect ratio.
And it doesn't need to know. It's just it's resizing it.
But you can do more sophisticated stuff. I've heard, I don't have offhand, but I've heard there's a technique to convert a side by side to over under using FFmpeg.
Wow.
That's probably a little bit longer command, but it'll just do it.
Yeah.
I like to use Shotcut. It's a good video editor. It can do all those kinds of things. It probably has FFmpeg built in.
Shotcut?
Shotcut?
Shotcut.
Cutting your shots.
I'd be curious what people are using for the Xbeam Pro videos to edit. I've used Final Cut and Premiere for other projects, but I'd be very interested in anyone's workflow for dealing with the videos.
I'd like to check out this Shotcut, which I'm looking at on the web right now, open source video editor. I use, for what it's worth, an ancient version of Magix. I use the 2013 version, which runs great on Windows 11 and has native 3D support, which you don't necessarily need if you're just editing half width side by side video, but Magix is nice because you can output in various 3D formats.
One of the beautiful things about these open source tools is that they're often released on Linux and Windows and Macintosh. So I can pick up a Shotcut workflow on my Linux machine and pop it over to my Windows laptop if I'm on the road someplace without dropping a beat. So it's very flexible that way.
Shotcut is a free open source cross-platform video editor. So Mike, you also use Shotcut, it sounds like?
I do, yes.
Right. I'll have to check this out. Thanks for the tip, Melinda and Mike. And yeah, there's a link to that in the chat as well.
It's a little bit of a learning curve, but there are YouTube tutorials for any particular operation that you're trying to do. It's you can.
And I think any video
you can figure it out on YouTube pretty quickly.
A little off topic, but before my network provider drops my Zoom connection again, I ran Phyllis's Mayo Man through Google Translate, or at least a portion of that, and the bag that the Mayo Man is holding says Yasunoko rice, industry, and self. So don't know what the context is, but it's a rice bag.
Good work. Reuse. Thank you for that.
Reusable rice bag. All right. Well, great slideshow tonight, as always. Fantastic meeting. Thanks for showing up. I'm looking forward to our pseudo next week. I will be sending out an email with a reminder about our stereo vision slideshow And for those who have not yet provided any images for that slideshow, I'll be following up also. Until then, I'll see you next week and have a great evening.
All right.
Good night, all.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.